Final part of our plenary session this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome our first keynote address for the summit, Ms. Nahla Valji. Ms. Valji is the Senior Gender Advisor in the UN Executive Office of the Secretary General, where she coordinates the UN-EU Spotlight Initiative to eliminate violence against women and girls, as well as the Secretary General's gender parity strategy, among other efforts. She joined the transition team of then Secretary General Designate Guterres in November 2016 and the EOSG in January 2017. Prior to this, she was acting Deputy Chief of the Peace and Security Section in UN Women's Headquarters in New York, where she led for some year the organization's work in peacekeeping, peace negotiations, transitional justice, and rule of law, involving both global programming and policy work, particularly with regard to the Secretary General. In 2015, she headed the Secretariat for the Global Study on Implementation of Resolution 1325, a comprehensive study requested by the Secretary General for the 15-year review of women, peace, and security. She founded and managed the International Journal of Transitional Justice and is the co-editor of the Oxford Handbook on Gender and Conflict. Prior to joining the UN, Ms. Valji worked in South Africa, where she led the regional transitional justice work for the Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation and managed the Africa Transitional Justice Research Network. Please give a warm round of applause and welcome to Ms. Valji.
Thank you so much, Susan, for that warm introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here with you at the opening of the International Social and Behavioral Change Communications Summit, and I thank the organizers for the invitation. As you just heard, the UN Deputy Secretary General regrets that she couldn't be here with you in person, but wishes all of you success in discussions in this important week ahead. Attitudes, perceptions, and social norms have a tremendous influence on our everyday behavior. They shape the way that we see the world, the way we interact with each other, and how our societies are organized. They influence behavior of individuals and have the power to equally advance or potentially stymie each of the development objectives articulated in the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its accompanying Sustainable Development Goals. As someone who has spent the past years focusing on issues of gender equality, I am only too aware of the way in which attitudes towards a woman's place in society contributes to a range of human rights violations and injustices, from sexual harassment to unequal pay, from an economy that simply does not cost women's work in the home, to efforts to control women's bodies, and ultimately violence. Conversely, shifting our attitudes and perceptions to one of equality and empowerment would in fact unlock the potential of half of our societies. Increasing women's access to land directly impacts on food security. Women's equal contribution in the labor force would unlock trillions of dollars for the global economy and for development. And women's meaningful participation in peace and security has been proven to increase the chances of sustainable peace in the long run. This is but one small example of the ways in which our own beliefs, attitudes, and perceptions of the world have obstructed our ability to achieve our own goals and needs. Shifting these attitudes will require innovative thinking, but also placing women's voice and agency at the center of our collective efforts. The 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, agreed to by all countries, provides a global agenda and ambitious targets. To achieve these, it is important to consider the social and behavioral determinants of development, and this is the goal of this summit. The open and flexible nature of this convening is intended to ensure that it can address a range of social and development issues across all of the Sustainable Development Goals. Over the next few days, all of you will have a critical and potentially transformational role in addressing issues ranging from climate change to access to justice, from maternal and child health to violence and discrimination, and the myriad other challenges that we face globally. Changes in social structures and human behavior cannot be influenced significantly by chance. They must be approached in an evidence-based, strategic way, using the best that science and the wisdom of practitioners has to offer. Hence the significance of the SBCC Summit. Beyond the critical relevance of SBCC as a means to an end, there is also a need to consider engagement with people and their communities as an end in itself. The principle of people-centered sustainable development is the centering and ultimate goal of all of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This calls for the mainstreaming of a human rights-based approach which must put people first, women, men, boys, and girls, including and in particular those who are at most risk of being left behind. To give just one example, the SDGs call for young people to serve as the torchbearers of the transformative agenda. To advance this agenda, the information and communication technology revolution provides new, innovative, and adaptable ways of engaging groups and networks of young people to create a driving force for youth-led change. This change will occur amongst their peers, communities, and institutions, as well as in the priority issues affecting their lives and their societies. But the opportunities do not just lie in new technologies, social media, and new ways of delivering our message. Solid research and understanding of context and of the rooting of attitudes and beliefs to inform messaging is critical no matter our communication medium. We have so many innovative examples of this. In South Africa, we have seen the impacts of Soul City in engaging youth to dialogue on and address issues ranging from HIV to inequality and racism. In Mexico, the telenovelas, pioneered by Televisa, promoted literacy and family planning. Just one of these shows was directly credited with increasing contraceptive sales 23% in 1 year, and increasing enrollment in family planning clinics by 33% in 1 year. In Jordan, a significant private sector partner of UNICEF, Big Bad Boo, has been demonstrating the success of using comics and entertainment-based curricula to reduce the vulnerability of at-risk Syrian refugee children by 75%, shifting perceptions towards violence by 43% and sectarianism by 49% over a short period. This is the power of change that this summit promotes. The SDGs call for holistic and integrated approaches to sustainable development. Social and behavior change communication platforms offer a venue for multi-sectoral approaches that can address common challenges and development concerns in an integrated manner. For example, addressing violence against women and girls by understanding and tackling its underlying causes, including social norms, is at the core of the new UN-EU Spotlight Initiative. Through this initiative and partnership, we are working to ensure that all women and girls, including those most left behind, can live free from violence. Our greatest focus will be on prevention. While violence against women and girls is perhaps the most pervasive, universal, and enduring form of violence, it is also one that we have the tools to address effectively now. With social and behavior change communication, we can mobilize new constituencies, engage young people, empower survivors of violence, and shift attitudes. I know that I am preaching to the converted here when I tell you that several decades of research and practice have taught us that SBCC can make a more meaningful and long-lasting contribution when it is based on an in-depth understanding of social and behavioral dynamics, when it is used as a catalyst for greater engagement, participation, and empowerment, and when it is used towards facilitating an enabling environment that supports people's informed decisions and actions. More importantly, SBCC must be guided by frameworks that promote people's human rights and acknowledge people's ability to be active social actors who contribute meaningfully to social change. The rapid changes brought by globalization trends, the emergence of new communication technologies at the fastest speed ever in history, and the presence of old and new development challenges demand creative and effective responses. We can choose to remain in the past of SBCC, or we can proactively apply SBCC in ways that put at the center of the development process the voices of individuals and communities. The challenge now is to take these efforts to scale, to ensure consistent quality backed by strong research and evidence and the engagement of all partners. This summit provides us with a unique opportunity to come together as a global community and discuss both how to address the challenges that this field faces as well as how to ensure that it is a field that it is at the forefront of efforts for global change. I hope that this space over the next few days will help us all achieve a better understanding of what works in order to shift social norms, change behaviors, and amplify the voices of those who have most at stake in bringing about positive social change. I hope that you will break new ground in your deliberations and find inspiration and energy for the work that lies ahead. I wish you all a successful conference. Thank you.